Let's talk about how to write a mystery novel with ChatGPT or any AI. Now, for me, to write a mystery novel, you're going to need a few things. You need a good premise, a good puzzle, that's the mystery. And if you mess that part up, this guy is going to call it out when your book becomes a movie.
So, you have a movie for me? Yes, sir, I do.
You also need characters. You need a point of view, POV, a good setting. You need compelling conflicts, some kind of story consequences, probably both personally for the characters and for the story and maybe the story world. And you're going to need some kind of ticking clock. I love a story that's on a deadline where the characters have to meet a goal or bad things happen to them and to the story world. If we want to put that into a complete mystery novel formula, I would say characters plus conflict plus puzzle plus consequences plus setting plus ticking clock equals a good mystery. In this video, we're just going to be talking about how to create or write a mystery novel with ChatGPT or any AI tool that you want to use. If you want to watch a video where I talked about just in general how to write any novel, check out that video that's up on your screen right now. But first, let's go into how to write a mystery novel with ChatGPT. Here's how we're going to do this. First of all, I like to give ChatGPT a little background information. First, I want ChatGPT to take on the role of a professional best-selling mystery novelist who I said is known for edge of your seat plots, complex mysteries, realistic three-dimensional characters, and plot puzzles that even diehard mystery fans can't solve. So this is how I want the AI, in this case ChatGPT, to approach this topic and approach the writing of this book. And I also said, here's my goal. I want to write a mystery novel. I listed all these elements, everything we already went over. Again, this is all background information to get us started on the right path to writing this mystery novel. And then I'm going to take each element one by one and developed, first of all, the plot outline and the actual story before we start writing. So let's do that now, piece by piece. By the way, you'll have to forgive me if you will. I just had my wisdom teeth taken out. So my mouth hurts a little bit, but this is very important to me to get this video out for you. So I want to do that. But if my voice is a little different or the pacing's a little different, it's probably because I got my wisdom teeth taken out yesterday. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for watching. Let's start writing this novel. Personally, I like to start with the premise. So I'm asking ChatGPT to first come up with a premise that is original and creative and compelling. I don't want a run of the mill mystery. I don't want a mystery we've all heard a million times. I personally like a creative mystery that has a twist, and I think the best mysteries do that. So, also, I want to say to the ChatGPT, I want the premise to use every element of the mystery novel formula that we've written above. I also want to remind ChatGPT that we're going to get into more detail with characters' POV setting in just a moment. That's not the main focus right now. The main focus right now is a high level premise that should grab attention. I want this concept to be compelling enough to help us create everything else we need to write this novel. By the way, I'm using ChatGPT 4.0 for Omni, and that is the paid version of ChatGPT and the newest and most advanced model at this moment. I think it's best to use whatever the most advanced models are. The price point, I think, is reasonable. I know it's might be hard for everybody to do that, but I still think it's the best way to do it. You can certainly use the same process with other free AI tools and AI subscriptions as you will. I think using the most advanced one is probably best. As ChatGPT usually does, it's giving me a lot more than even that I asked for, which is great. So we're first going to go over the premise and then see everything else that ChatGPT already gave us. But first, here's the premise. In a small picturesque, there we go. It's another word that's difficult for me if you watched my last video. In a small picturesque town of Havenbrook, known for its historical charm and tight-knit community. So we got a little bit about a setting. A series of chilling murders rocks the tranquil setting. The victims, all seemingly unrelated, are found with a mysterious symbol carved into their skin, a symbol not recognized by local authorities and historians. As the body count rises, fear grips the town and the pressure mounts to catch the killer. So we got a little bit about the characters. We have a puzzle that at first is pretty common among mysteries, so there's familiarity there. but there's a mysterious symbol, and that, I guess, is our twist. And I like that. It makes it a little bit more interesting to me. And I like here at the end where we have the ticking clock, where we know that pressure mounts to catch the killer or more body count is going to happen in this fictional mystery novel. That was for the algorithm. All right, so let's talk about the puzzle piece of the mystery formula. A reclusive former FBI profiler, now living in Havenbrook, under a new identity, is reluctantly drawn into the investigation. We have somebody that's an expert. They're trying to get away from their old life, probably. They're a former FBI profiler, and they're reluctantly drawn into. So I like when characters are sort of pushed or drawn into the conflict. That gives, I think, natural internal conflict for the story, and the local police are out of their depth. Okay, the profiler, haunted by a botched case from his past. Okay, so that's pretty common in mysteries. Must decode the meaning behind the symbol, uncover hidden connections among the victims, and piece together the clues left by a cunning and elusive murderer. All right, so this is sort of a classic mystery novel in a small town. Let's keep going, but I like it so far. Characters: Detective Emily Carter, ambitious and sharp local detective determined to prove herself. John Harper, reclusive, a former FBI profiler, now a bookstore owner with a dark past. Okay, so we got a bookstore owner. Even this character is already starting to be multidimensional, which we want our characters to be. By the way, even if ChatGPT doesn't do all of this, I'm going to give you different prompts to get the puzzle, the characters, the POV, all of that. So ChatGPT just already gave us this, which is cool. All right, next, Mayor Sarah Blake, charismatic but secretive mayor of Havenbrook, hiding her own connections to the case. So we have sort of a layered puzzle happening here, a layered plot, lots of conflict. I like that. Victor Ramos, mysterious historian with knowledge of ancient symbols who seems to know more than he's letting on. It's convenient that we have a mysterious historian with the knowledge of ancient symbols in this small town, but we'll let that go for now. Various townspeople, each with their own secrets and possible motives. We have some red herrings, some to sort of confuse the plot and get the reader thinking that different people might be the main suspect or the murderer. We have a lot going on here. Let's talk about the POV since we already have it. Third person limited, alternating between Detective Carter and John Harper. I kind of like third person POVs, and I like the alternating between Detective Carter and John Harper. These are our two main characters, which it looks like it's a female and a male. There might be some romantic interest that happens there. This allows readers to experience the investigation both from a professional and personal perspective, deepening the intrigue. All right. I like that. I really like that. Okay. And if this goes well, maybe we can turn this standalone mystery novel into a series. Who knows? Setting: the quaint yet eerie town of Havenbrook, surrounded by dense forests and old abandoned mines. The town's historic landmarks are hidden tunnels play a crucial role in the unfolding mystery. Okay, so we got a lot of background here, a lot of cool stuff happening, conflict. Let's keep going. Internal: John Harper struggles with his traumatic past and reluctance to engage in the investigation. Okay. External: Detective Carter faces pressure from the public and media, as well as interference from the mayor and other officials. All right, let's go back up here. So that's Carter, that's Harper. Yep. So we got internal, external conflicts. I like it. And then now there's also interpersonal conflicts. Tensions rise between Harper and Carter. Those names are almost too similar for me. And I feel like I might get confused if I was a reader. But since there's a limited number of characters, at least main characters, and we're going to alternate between their POVs, that'll probably help. There's trust issues. Yeah. So consequences. Like I said, I think there should be personal consequences, story consequences, all of that. In this particular story that ChatGPT has helped us come up with, the town's safety is at stake. Yep. The failure to catch the killer could lead to more deaths. Pretty common in mystery novels. Personal reputations and careers are on the line. So it's not just like this human level consequences. There's very personal consequences and emotional consequences that I think the readers will enjoy and also can relate. Most readers, they might be fascinated by the murder mystery element of it, but they can relate more closely to their reputations and careers on the line. Most of us have has experienced some type of this in our lives. For Harper, solving the case could mean redemption, but failing could plunge him deeper into his own darkness. There's a carrot and a stick for motivation here. And then we have the ticking clock. The killer leaves cryptic messages indicating a timeline for the next murder, pushing the investigation into a race against time. I like it. Each clue leads them closer, but the clock is always ticking, adding to the suspense and urgency. In just a moment, we're going to flesh out our story into an actual structure and outline before we actually start writing some of the scenes. But before that, I wanted to show you, well, what do you do if ChatGPT doesn't give you all this information? Don't worry, I got your back. Let's go over some best possible prompts for ChatGPT. For the premise, I like this one. Create a premise for a mystery novel that involves a seemingly unsolvable crime, a unique and suspenseful hook, and a compelling reason for the protagonist to get involved. Again, I think that's lots of elements of a compelling premise. Also, I think it's important to let ChatGPT know the different elements that you want included in your premise. All of these here. And don't worry, I'll have a lot of this or all of this in my description of the video. There'll also be links to some articles that I've written that sort of spell out these different ideas and prompts for writing any novels and even specific types of novels in the description. So check those out as well. I would appreciate it. That helps the channel. All right, there's the premise. Now let's talk about some of the other elements. If we're talking about conflict, I like this prompt. Describe the central conflict in a mystery novel, along with the internal conflicts for the main characters and a significant interpersonal conflicts that add to the stories. You got layered conflict there, but you also want to talk about the characters. And for the characters, I like this prompt. Develop a set of characters for a mystery novel, including a clever detective, multiple suspects, each with unique motives, a complex antagonist, and engaging secondary characters. I think that's going to give you a cast of characters for your novel that are compelling, that work together just to create this wonderful experience for the reader. We're going to lump two together and talk about settings and POV. For the setting, you can say create a list of settings for a mystery novel that includes atmospheric locations, varied and significant places where the story unfolds, and environments rich with clues. That's a great way to come up with some settings. Again, if you don't like what ChatGPT gives you, you can always change it and ask for something different. And that's true at each step of this mystery writing process. So for the POV, you could say suggest the best point of view for a mystery novel and explain why it suits the genre. Include first person, third person limited, and the concept of an unreliable narrator. Based on all this other information, you can ask ChatGPT to suggest the best point of view, explain its reasoning, and also, get ideas for these other POVs, and you can choose the one that you want. However, since we already have this information, I'm just going to go with this for now. What I think we should do now is come up with an overarching structure and plot outline for our novels. There are a lot of ways to get your story structure, and this is just one of those. Here's what I said. Based on a story described above in this chat conversation, please, and I put quotes around the actual prompt, depending at what stage in your mystery novel writing process you're doing this. But please provide a structure for the mystery novel that includes an engaging introduction to the mystery, a detailed investigation phase, a climactic moment with a major reveal, and a satisfying resolution. This should be a high level structure, a big picture of the story that will later develop into a detailed plot outline. I'm going to say with more twists and turns because a mystery, I think, needs that. Let's see what we get just with this information. We should get something pretty good. We have our introduction, story structure, with is the peace shattered in the small town, reluctant return, a detailed investigation phase. And this is a pretty good structure. It's actually sort of a chapter by chapter breakdown, or at least section breakdown of the story, which is pretty good, actually. So we got everything from the beginning to the new beginnings to the lingering shadows. That's pretty cool. Now we're going to take this and turn it into an even more detailed plot outline. And really, beyond that, there's several other things you could do, but we could just start asking ChatGPT to generate the actual novel. Let me again just show you what I'm doing. I want to create a detailed plot outline from the story structure and really everything else we've talked about previously in this chat conversation. So now I'm asking ChatGPT to please now outline the plot of the mystery novel with a series of red herrings, unexpected twist, crucial clues, and a gradual buildup of tension leading to the final revelation. Give the mystery novel a title, because I don't think we have that yet. The detailed plot should include chapter outlines for every chapter. And that's important because that's going to help us actually generate the novel and to keep it consistent throughout from beginning to end. This is what ChatGPT gave you. And it's a great example of when you get good information, but maybe not as much as we need. So we have a title, Echoes in the Shadows. Not bad. We could always change that later if we don't like it. But for now, I think it's great. I would say we probably need even more detailed outline. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to give me a outline of every one of these scenes in each chapter. And yeah, that's a lot, but ChatGPT is fully capable of doing that. It'll be a lot of information and it'll definitely help us generate a better novel, I think. So I just did that. And for the record, I wanted to show the original chapter one outline, which is 3 bullet points, which are kind of scenes, I would say, or maybe even could be a series of scenes within this chapter. It depends on how long you want each chapter to be. But I said, please expand this plot outline by generating a list of story beats for each bullet under each chapter. The story beats should allow us to write each small section of each chapter, combining into an epic mystery for readers. We have the title, and you can see we have each one of these bullets setting the scene. Now we have 3 kind of story beats in there with some introduction of key landmarks. This is all good. We have inciting incident. We have the initial clue, and this is all in chapter 1. We have a breakdown, and we have a breakdown of each one of these chapters until ChatGPT had to take a small break. So we're going to say continue generating, no problem there. And we're almost done with the outline. I like this more detailed version. Now you could say, I want an even more detailed one with more story beats that break down each one of these story beats. You could just really go as fine tuned as you want. And I think the more detailed you get these outlines, the better. Because once you have a detailed outline, you can just ask ChatGPT to write each section of the outline. We're going to leave it at this level of specificity. And I'm just going to ask ChatGPT now to start writing chapter 1 based on this more detailed outline. Just to show you what ChatGPT can do even at this level. I'm saying, great, now start writing the mystery novel based on the premise, story structure, and this detailed outline. I want each scene to be fully expanded into a beat by beat narrative that is compelling. The writing style should be short sentences with colorful language, which in my mind is kind of reminiscent of the mystery novels, at least that I like to read. You could be more detailed with the writing style, by the way. You could even say, hey, write like your favorite mystery novelist or a combination of your favorite authors, whatever you want. Each scene should be include a beginning, middle, and end that connects to the next scene. Again, I want consistency and flow. Scenes and story beats should include a mix of dialogue, narration, action, etc. Keep the story consistent. Every chapter should build on all the previous chapters. Again, consistency. This should be one long, seamless mystery novel that keeps readers glued to each page, wanting to know what happens next. Each chapter should be 5 printed book pages, so approximately 1,500 words. Now I'm giving as specific details as I can. You could go way more specific. Play around with this experiment to see what you get. And again, if you don't like what it gives you first, you could always change it. Now, a lot of times I'll ask ChatGPT to just write one section at a time. Here, I'm just saying, just write the novel, which may be a good idea, maybe not. I haven't really done that yet with ChatGPT 4 Omni. So we're just going to see what we get. I wanted to show you what happened before I changed it. As I kind of expected, the scene was like way too long. That's definitely not going to be 1,500 words right here. That's why it's probably best to do it section by section. So I'm going to go back and do that now. I've said, please only generate the first chapter in 1,500 words. Following the outline, here's a reminder. And I just copied and pasted the outline up there. I think putting that information, the outline, the premise, the characters in the memory feature of ChatGPT, also maybe in the custom instructions, or just copying and pasting here each time can give you a more consistent novel. We have our first chapter. And by the way, I did a word count and we have 1,432 words, which is pretty close to our 1,500. I am going to be very happy with that. Let's see what we got. Peace shattered. Heavenbrook bask in the golden light of dawn. Its tranquil streets and historic buildings bathed in a serene glow. The town square stood at the heart of this picturesque setting, surrounded by quaint shops and cafes that buzzed with life. The old church, a towering monument of Gothic architecture, cast long shadows over the cobblestone pathways. This was a place where everyone knew each other, where secrets were whispered but seldom kept. More of a descriptive opening. A lot of times I like when we jump right into the conflict of the story. This one's a little bit slower, but even the descriptions with the old church, towering monument, Gothic architecture, secrets whispered but seldom kept, long shadows. This is all indicative that something is going to break the peace of this particular town. And even the chapter title, Peace Shattered, will let us know that. Detective Emily Carter drove through the town, her sharp eyes taking in every detail. Her sleek back car contrasted starkly with the rustic charm of Havenbrook. Emily, known for her dedication and ambition, was determined to make her mark here. She pulled up in front of the town's bakery, Harper's bookstore, visible down the street, its antique sign swaying gently in the morning breeze. We know, as the author or co-author, co-creator anyway, that Harper is going to be a part of this story. So we're already getting the introduction of the town, introduction of the characters. This is good. Stepping out of the car, Emily's presence commanded attention. She wore a tailored suit, her badge glinting in the sunlight. With her dark hair pulled back and her eyes steely with focus, she was a force to be reckoned with. Morning, detective, a local officer greeted her with a nod. It's a quiet day. Morning, Officer Lewis, Emily replied, scanning the area. Let's keep it that way. And of course, we know that's not going to happen. But Heavenwood's peace was about to be shattered. So, okay, so we have a little bit of a scene change. I kind of almost like this as a better introduction. Again, we can change this up. We could delete all this. We could ask ChatGPT to create a whole new chapter one with this as the beginning. There's so much we could do here. I'm not going to read this all to you, but you can get the idea. There's dialogue, there's action, there's tension. We have different scene changes here, all the way to the end where it says the first murder had shattered Havenbrook's peace, but Emily was determined to restore it one piece of the puzzle at a time. So, all in all, not a bad introduction. Again, as always, you can change this in so many different ways. You can ask for a more action oriented introduction. You could ask for more dialogue heavy one. You could ask for many kinds of changes there, but we have the word count we want. We have chapter one. And from here on, if you like what you have, what ChatGPT gave you, you can ask ChatGPT to write the next chapter all the way through to the end of the novel. By the way, if you have an idea yourself, you can feed that idea, premise, plot, or character into ChatGPT to help flesh out your idea, your outline. You can have ChatGPT help you with the outline, and then you can write the actual story yourself, and then ask ChatGPT to help you analyze and edit your work. There's a lot of different ways you can do this at different levels of interaction with this tool or with any AI. Another cool thing I think you can do is create some images of your characters, of your setting, of your story, of your different scenes. And I think creating an image outline for your novel is actually a cool way to get some inspiration if you're going to write it yourself, or if you want to get a sense of how ChatGPT is thinking about this particular scene or chapter. So let me show you how to do that. Just like with any other prompt, there's a lot of different ways to prompt images, and I'm still working out the best ones that I like. But for now, I like asking ChatGPT to give me a epic, sometimes Hollywood style, movie poster worthy, cool and impressive horizontal image that encapsulates each chapter of the outline. And I want one image for each chapter. So now we're creating a visual sort of storyboarding like image for each one of the chapters. I had to make a little changes, as you often do when prompting any AI tool like ChatGPT. It wouldn't give me all the images at once, probably because that was too many. It'd be like 14 something images. So I just changed it and I said, okay, well, let's just chunk down and do images for chapters 1 through 3. And here's what we got. Let's see if we can make them bigger. There we go. You can see this is more of like an old town, a time period. So you may love that, you may hate that, but it gives you a sense of how ChatGPT is thinking about it. And if you like it, great. If you don't, you can say, okay, well, let's do a different image. And then, by the way, it's probably best to do this image plot outline before you start actually writing the novel. Again, it just gives more direction and storyboarding to ChatGPT. Here's another picture. I think this one is actually really good too. Here's our former, probably FBI profiler in the bookstore. And this is actually other than probably too many fingers down here, I think it's pretty good. Overall, I like the look of this character. And we have the other character here, the detective, right here. So that's a good image. And then, okay, so we have a crime scene. Looks like it's a croissant. I'm not sure if this is is, is this a tiny gingerbread croissant man? I don't know what's happening. If you look closer, not going to be exactly right. I think the croissant is hilarious, but I guess that has to do with the bakery. And the numbers are weird. But look, overall, this is a good indication of what this scene's going to be like. There's also an explanation of each one of these images, which also can give you a better idea of how ChatGPT is thinking of everything. And again, you can change anything that you want. But I'm just going to do the next couple chapters again to give you an indication of what this might look like for you. Once the prompts are working that you like, you can just say, hey, do more of that. And it simplifies your process of prompting and helps you just do this whole thing a lot quicker. So let's look at what we get for chapters 4 through 8. These images turned out really cool. So I wanted to share them with you. So we have this first image here, just of a reporter and townspeople. Again, this is more of an old world view and look, but that's okay. If you like that, go with it. If not, ask to change. I really like this image too. Now we're in the bookstore, the library, probably talking with this historian who knows the ancient symbols. We have probably our detective here, FBI profiler probably here. Maybe this is the historian. Again, we get a sense of what these characters look like, how they're interacting, the setting. This can help you write your own novel yourself with these images or help ChatGPT write the novel with you and for you. Here's like a town hall meeting, maybe in the bookstore, which is maybe where they start setting up this whole investigation, the central hub of the investigation. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. Again, it can give you information, give you ideas. And here's another cool image, I think. I guess this is probably detective, even though this is either a historian or maybe the FBI profiler without the beard. Anyway, but they're going over the ancient clues. It's kind of cool. It looks like a screenshot out of a movie, but it can help you describe this scene or ChatGPT do that. Here's probably one of my favorite. It's just the profiler, the detective in this secret tunnel under the town with all these symbols. This is pretty cool with the little light here. Then hopefully that doesn't go out. They got flashlights. I just find that to be a really compelling image. Again, ChatGPT gave us some information down here to understand how it came up with the images. I highly recommend that you create one of these image outlines also of your story. That's whether you're going to write it yourself or if you're going to ask ChatGPT to write the whole thing for you. As a final bonus, I wanted to show you a template or a mock-up of a book cover image that ChatGPT can also give you. Now, of course, the words aren't going to be perfect, but I think as far as the book cover, it's pretty compelling. This would probably make me want to grab it off the shelf or check it out on Amazon or any online bookstore. You can simply ask for ChatGPT to give you an epic book cover and the prompt for this book cover and all the other prompts that I've used in this video, I will include in the description. So check that out. Also, check out again the links to the different detailed articles on my writing website. You can get tons of more prompts to inspire you, tons of more ideas on how to write novels like mystery novels with ChatGPT. Also, if you haven't already done so, I have a couple other videos that are made specifically just for writing novels and stories with ChatGPT and other AI. And I'll put that series, that playlist up on the screen right now. So check that out. And that's it for this video. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.